The scorching Atlanta sun beat down on Buckhead at 2:15 p.m., turning the glass facade of Lenox Square Mall into a blinding mirror of luxury. Inside, marble floors gleamed, Gucci bags swung from manicured arms, and the air smelled of money and perfume. Through the grand doors stepped Elijah Grant, a 70-year-old black man in faded denim overalls splattered with old paint, scuffed work boots, and a gray cap pulled low. Sweat traced lines down his dark skin. He carried a crumpled plastic bag that looked like lunch leftovers. No one noticed the quiet dignity in his step, only the clothes that screamed he didn't belong. Security guard Marcus Hayes, tall and white with a crew cut, blocked him instantly by the fountain. "Hold up, sir. This entrance ain't for you. Food court's outside if you're lost." Elijah met his eyes calmly. "Afternoon, son. I'm here for my private lounge reservation upstairs." Elijah Grant. Marcus laughed, loud and sharp radio crackling. "Dispatch, we got a guy claiming executive access." "Yeah, right." Shoppers glanced over, smirking. Head concierge Karen Whitaker strode up, blonde highlights, crisp blazer, clipboard clutched like a shield. She scanned him, calloused hands, simple attire, black skin. Her smile was ice. "Lenox is for premium clients, CEOs, old money. You've got the wrong mall." "Marta's nearby. Please check the system," Elijah said evenly. "Elijah Grant." Karen sighed theatrically. "Sit on that bench by the doors. Don't touch anything." She pointed to a cold metal seat for delivery workers. Elijah nodded and sat. Whispers erupted. A white couple muttered, "Probably off Peachtree thinking it's public." A mother pulled her child away. "Eyes forward, honey." Phones angled subtly. Karen typed lazily at her desk. "No real search." To Marcus, "These types always try. 10 minutes, then escort him out." Time crawled. Elijah waited patiently, wiping his brow. Young black janitor Jamal Carter rolled by with his cart. He paused. "You all right, sir? Water?" Elijah smiled genuinely. The day's first warmth. "Thank you, brother. Just waiting for respect. God bless." Jamal felt the sting he knew too well. "They bothering you?" "Nothing new," Elijah replied softly. "Your kindness stands out." Jamal approached Karen. "Ma'am, he says he has business." "Page the manager?" "Stick to mopping, Jamal. He doesn't look Lenox VIP." Jamal walked away, fists tight. An hour passed. Mall buzzed, heels clicking, luxury rustling. Karen marched over. "Time's up. Security's coming." Elijah stood, cane steady. "I'll speak to the owner." Karen laughed. "Mr. Grant doesn't see walk-ins." Elijah pulled a thick envelope from his bag. "Ownership papers, look." Karen snatched it, glimpsed letterhead, tossed it aside. "Fake." "Marcus!" Marcus gripped Elijah's arm. "Move, Pops!" Elijah didn't resist. As they dragged him out, he said clearly, "Remember this day." Doors slammed. Heat hit. Karen dusted her hands. Handled. Jamal slipped back, grabbed the envelope. In the break room, he opened it. Heart pounding. Elijah Grant, 78% majority shareholder, silent founder, Lenox Square Properties. He printed files, raced to regional manager Thompson. "Sir, that man you threw out? He's the owner." Thompson paled. "Rishagri confirms. He's hidden for years." Panic spread. Karen went white. "We dragged the boss?" Next morning, 10:30 a.m. doors opened. Elijah entered, same overalls, flanked by lawyers and an assistant. Silence crashed. Employees froze. To Karen, "You saw black skin and work clothes, decided I was trash. Let security manhandle me. That's racism." Karen trembled. "I didn't know. You didn't care," Elijah said. To Marcus, "Hands on me because I looked suspicious? Prejudice, not protocol." To the staff, "I built this from sweeping floors in the 70s. Doors slammed on black men like me. Stayed disguised to see how the least are treated." He nodded to Jamal. "You saw a person. Today, your operations manager." "Heart beats hierarchy." Jamal choked. "I just did right." "Exactly," Elijah said. "What America needs." To Karen and Marcus, "Fired. Industry notes why, no bias here." Karen sobbed. Elijah addressed all. "Lenox is for everyone. Judge character, not color. Discriminate? Gone." Applause rose, shoppers, staff. Elijah walked out. Head high, the mall changed. Bias training, respect all signs. Elijah visited quietly sometimes, reminding, "True power lies in equality, not appearances. Racism hides in judgments. Truth exposes it and heals." The blistering Atlanta afternoon sun turned Lenox Square Mall's glass entrance into a shimmering wall of exclusion at exactly 2:15 p.m. Inside, the air was cool and scented with high-end perfume, marble floors echoing with the confident clicks of designer heels. Through those grand doors walked Elijah Grant, a 70-year-old black man, whose faded denim overalls bore faint paint stains from years of honest labor, scuffed work boots leaving soft traces on the polished stone, and a plain gray cap shading his weathered face. Sweat glistened on his dark skin from the Georgia heat outside. In one calloused hand dangled a crumpled plastic grocery bag. Nothing more than a sandwich wrapper and perhaps a half-eaten apple. To the untrained eye, he looked like someone who had wandered in by mistake. To those who judged quickly, he looked like trouble. Security guard Marcus Hayes, tall, white, crew-cut, sharp as his badge, stepped forward before Elijah had taken 5 steps past the fountain. "Whoa, hold it right there, sir," Marcus barked, arms crossed like a barrier. "This entrance isn't for folks like you. Food court's out back if you're looking for something cheap." Elijah lifted his gaze steadily, voice calm and measured. "Good afternoon. I'm here to check my private lounge reservation upstairs. Name's Elijah Grant." Marcus let out a sharp, disbelieving laugh that drew eyes from nearby shoppers. He thumbed his radio. "Dispatch. Got a gentleman here claiming executive lounge access." "Yeah, you heard that right." Snickers crackled back through the earpiece. Head concierge Karen Whitaker arrived moments later. Mid-40s. Blonde highlights catching the light, blazer crisp, clipboard grip tight. She performed a slow, deliberate scan. The worn overalls, the work-hardened hands, the deep brown skin. Her lips curved into a thin, patronizing smile that never touched her eyes. Lenox Square caters to our premium clientele, CEOs, legacy Atlanta families, the kind who belong. I believe you've mistaken this for somewhere else. There's a MARTA stop nearby if you're lost, ma'am, Elijah replied evenly. If you'd kindly run the name, Elijah Grant, the system will confirm it. Karen exhaled dramatically, as if the request itself was an insult. Fine, have a seat over there on that bench by the doors. And please, don't wander or handle the displays. She gestured to a small, uncomfortable metal bench tucked near the entrance, the kind reserved for tired delivery drivers or those who clearly didn't fit the mall's polished image. Elijah nodded without protest and sat. The whispers began almost immediately. A young white couple nearby muttered, "Look at him." Probably came in off Peachtree thinking it's open to everyone. A mother tugged her child's arm. "Don't stare, sweetie. Some people just don't know their place." Phones tilted subtly in his direction, capturing the oddity. Back at her desk, Karen typed lazily, no genuine search performed. To Marcus, she muttered, "These types always try to sneak in. Give him 10 minutes, then escort him out quietly. We can't have this ruining the atmosphere for real customers." 30 minutes stretched into an hour. Elijah remained seated, patient, occasionally dabbing his forehead with a folded handkerchief. The mall pulsed around him, luxury bags rustling, credit cards swiping, laughter floating from high-end boutiques. Karen finally approached again, tone edged with irritation. "Time's up, sir. Security will see you out now. This is private property." Elijah rose slowly, leaning on his cane. "I've waited long enough. I'll speak to the owner directly." Karen laughed outright, cold and dismissive. "The owner? Mr. Grant doesn't deal with walk-ins like this. Out you go." Elijah reached into his bag and produced a thick manila envelope. "These are the ownership documents. Take a look." Karen snatched it, flipped it open just enough to glimpse official letterhead, then tossed it onto the counter like trash. "We've seen better forgeries. Marcus." Marcus stepped forward, gripping Elijah's arm firmly. "Come on, Pops. Let's move." Elijah offered no resistance as Marcus pulled him toward the exit. Shoppers paused to watch, some filming, others whispering approvals. As the doors loomed, Elijah spoke clearly, voice carrying, "Remember this moment. Truth doesn't stay buried." The heavy glass doors swung shut behind him. The Georgia heat slammed down like judgment. Karen dusted her hands with satisfaction. Problem solved. Back to business. Inside, The whispers continued, some amused, some uncomfortable, but the mall's polished facade remained intact. For now, the staff break room at Lenox Square Mall smelled of burnt coffee and disinfectant. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a sickly pallor on the chipped formica table where Jamal Carter sat alone, heart hammering against his ribs. The clock on the wall read 3:12 p.m. Barely 20 minutes since security guard Marcus had dragged Elijah Grant out the front doors like an unwelcome stray. The image wouldn't leave Jamal. The old man's calm face, the way he hadn't fought back, the quiet words he'd spoken as the glass doors closed behind him. Remember this moment. Truth doesn't stay buried. Jamal's hands trembled slightly as he unfolded the thick manila envelope he'd snatched from the concierge desk. The second Karen turned away to greet a platinum card customer. He hadn't planned to take it. He'd only meant to glance, to see if the old man really had papers worth anything. But the moment his fingers closed around the envelope, something heavier than curiosity took hold. He slid the contents onto the table. A crisp cover letter on heavy stock bore the letterhead of a prestigious Atlanta law firm. Below it, corporate filings, shareholder registries, notarized signatures. Jamal's eyes scanned the top page quickly, then froze. Asterisk Elijah Grant, 78% majority shareholder. Asterisk silent founder and principal beneficial owner. Asterisk Lenox Square Properties Holdings Group. The words blurred for a second. Jamal blinked hard, reread them. His breath caught. The document listed dates going back decades. Property acquisitions in the 1980s, expansions through the 2000s, quiet transfers of controlling interest that kept Elijah's name out of public headlines. There were board resolutions, tax IDs, even a small black and white photo clipped to the back. A younger Elijah in a hard hat on a construction site, smiling beside the rising skeleton of what would become Lenox Square's East Wing. Jamal leaned back in the plastic chair, the envelope crinkling under his grip. The man they had mocked, the man Karen had dismissed with a wave of her hand, the man Marcus had physically removed from the building. That man owned nearly 4/5 of the entire property empire. The mall they all worked in, the luxury brands they protected, the marble floors Jamal mopped every night, belonged to Elijah Grant. He thought of the bench by the doors, the cold metal seat, the whispers, the way Karen had laughed when Elijah offered the envelope, the way Marcus's hand had clamped around the old man's arm, like he was nothing more than a nuisance. Jamal's stomach twisted. He had seen racism dressed up as policy every day of his life. Customers who wouldn't meet his eyes, managers who spoke to him like he was slow, shoppers who clutched purses tighter when he passed. But this was different. This was humiliation aimed at the one person who could end their careers with a single phone call. He flipped to the next page. A confidentiality clause. Elijah had deliberately stayed silent, hidden, never appearing in public as the owner. Why? To test people. To watch how the world treated someone who looked like the least among them. Jamal's throat tightened. He thought of his own grandfather, who had worked construction crews in the 70s, coming home with blistered hands and stories of being passed over for promotions because the face didn't fit the front office. Jamal stood abruptly. He couldn't sit with this alone. He grabbed the papers, folded them carefully, and slipped them inside his uniform jacket. He moved fast, through the service corridor, up the back stairwell to the regional manager's office on the 3rd floor. His knock was firm. Miss Thompson, mid-40s, tie loosened, looked up from his computer with annoyance. Carter? This better be important. I'm in the middle of... Jamal didn't wait for permission. He placed the envelope on the desk. Sir, that man's security just threw out? The one in the overalls? That's Elijah Grant, the owner. 78% shareholder, silent founder. It's all right here. Thompson stared at the papers, color draining from his face as he scanned the first page. His mouth opened, closed. He flipped through the documents, eyes widening with each turn. Jesus Christ, he whispered. The registry. It matches. Corporate filings, it's real. Jamal stood silent, arms crossed, watching the realization crash over his boss like cold water. Thompson rubbed his temples. We just humiliated the majority owner, in front of customers, on camera. Jamal's voice was low but steady. Yeah, we did. For a long moment, neither spoke. Outside the office window, the mall continued its polished rhythm. Shoppers laughing, bags rustling, music drifting from overhead speakers. But inside that small room, something irreversible had begun. Jamal thought of Elijah again, sitting patiently, offering no anger, only quiet certainty. The old man hadn't needed to shout. He hadn't needed to fight. He had simply waited for the truth to do its work. And now it had. The next morning, Lenox Square Mall opened under a heavy, unspoken tension. By 10 a.m., whispers had already spread through the service corridors like smoke. The old man in overalls from yesterday wasn't just some wanderer. He was Elijah Grant, the majority owner. Staff moved slower, eyes darting. Karen Whitaker kept her head down at the concierge desk, reapplying lipstick as if it could erase the memory of her own laughter. Marcus Hayes stood rigid at his post, badge polished to a nervous shine. The marble floors gleamed the same, but the air felt thinner. At exactly 10:30, the grand entrance doors slid open. Elijah Grant walked in. Same faded denim overalls, same gray cap, same scuffed boots. But this time he was not alone. Two sharp-suited lawyers flanked him, carrying a leather briefcase, the other a tablet glowing with documents. A young black executive assistant followed close behind, heels clicking with purpose. The lobby froze. Shoppers paused mid-stride. A teenage girl lowered her phone. Even the escalator music seemed quiet. Elijah moved straight toward the concierge desk. No hesitation, no anger in his stride. Only the calm certainty of a man who had waited decades for this moment. Karen looked up. Her face drained of color. Grant. Elijah stopped 3 feet from her station. His voice carried clear across the open space. Karen Whitaker. Yesterday you looked at my skin, my clothes, and decided I didn't belong here. You refused to check my name. You made me sit on a bench like a delivery boy. You laughed when I offered proof. Then you let security drag me out, your hands on me like I was nothing. That wasn't a mistake. That was racism. Plain, deliberate, and witnessed by dozens. Karen's hands shook on the counter. Sir, I didn't know who you were. You didn't want to know. Elijah cut in, voice steady. You saw black skin and work clothes and wrote the rest of my story before I spoke a word. That's how it works. Every day. In places exactly like this. He turned to Marcus, who stood a few paces away, face tight. Marcus Hayes, you put your hands on me. You called me Pops. You pulled me toward the door while people filmed and whispered approval. Why? Because an older black man in overalls looked suspicious to you. Not protocol. Prejudice. Marcus opened his mouth, closed it. No defense came. Elijah addressed the growing crowd. Staff, shoppers, security, custodians. His tone deepened, resonant. I built this mall from nothing. Started sweeping floors in the 1970s when doors slammed in black faces. Faced no vacancies. Not the right fit. You don't look the part. I worked harder. Saved smarter. Bought smarter. Quietly. I stayed hidden. Not out of shame, but to watch. To see how people treat the ones who look like they have nothing. Because power tests character. And yesterday, most of you failed. He paused, letting the silence settle. But one person didn't. Elijah looked toward the side corridor. Jamal Carter stepped forward slowly, still in his Navy janitor uniform, eyes wide. Jamal Carter, Elijah said, you saw me. Offered water. Spoke with respect. Tried to help even when your superiors shut you down. You didn't need to know my name or my bank account. You just saw a man who needed kindness. That's worth more than any Ivy League degree or corporate title. Jamal swallowed hard. I just did what felt right, sir. Exactly, Elijah replied. And that's why, effective immediately, you are promoted to operations manager of Lenox Square. You'll oversee daily functions, staff training, guest experience, heart over hierarchy, empathy over entitlement. That's the qualification this place has been missing. Applause started, tentative at first, then swelling from shoppers and a few staff members. Jamal's eyes glistened. He nodded once, unable to speak. Elijah turned back to Karen and Marcus. You're both terminated. Effective now. Security will escort you to collect your belongings. The company will document the reason. Demonstrated racial bias and abuse of authority. No severance. No references. And the industry will know why. Karen's shoulders collapsed. Tears streaked her makeup. Marcus stared at the floor. Elijah faced the crowd again, voice rising with quiet fire. Listen well. A black man can build billions in this country, empires of glass and steel, and still be dragged out like trash because of the color of his skin. That ends here, today. Lenox Square will be a place where every person, black, white, rich, poor, young, old, is treated with dignity first. No exceptions. Discriminate? You're gone. Judge by appearance? You're gone. We will train every employee on bias, on respect, on seeing the human before the surface. Because real wealth isn't in accounts. It's in how you treat the soul standing in front of you. He tapped his cane once on the marble. Sharp, final. Change starts now. With that, Elijah turned. His lawyers and assistant followed. The doors opened. He stepped into the sunlight without looking back. Behind him, the mall exhaled. Some staff wiped tears. Others stood straighter. Phones captured the moment. Whispers turned to murmurs of awe, and in the silence that followed, one truth lingered heavier than any eviction. Justice doesn't always arrive in a suit. Sometimes it walks in overalls and changes everything. The weeks following Elijah Grant's return to Lenox Square Mall felt like the slow turning of a great wheel. Quiet at first, then unstoppable. The marble floors still gleamed, the chandeliers still sparkled, but something fundamental had shifted beneath the luxury surface. Word of what happened spread faster than any corporate memo. The elderly black man in overalls, humiliated and dragged out, was the silent majority owner. Videos from shoppers' phones circulated online. Grainy clips of Karen's cold dismissal, Marcus's rough grip, Elijah's calm patience, and finally, his measured return flanked by lawyers. The footage didn't go viral in the explosive way scandals sometimes do. Instead, it simmered, shared in quiet group chats, family dinners, barbershop conversations. Atlanta noticed. The South noticed. And Lenox Square had to respond. By the end of the first week, every employee, from security to sales associates, received a mandatory email, bias awareness, and inclusive service training. No exceptions. Sessions ran in the employee lounge twice daily for a month. Facilitators, brought in from outside firms specializing in racial equity, didn't lecture with anger. They used real stories, some from the mall itself. They showed the videos. They asked questions that forced reflection. What assumptions did you make the moment you saw him? How would you have acted if he wore a suit? Staff sat in circles, some comfortable, some tearful. A few quit within days, unable to face the mirror held up to them. Most stayed. Jamal Carter, now operations manager, attended every session. Not as a participant, but as a co-facilitator. His Navy uniform had been replaced by a tailored blazer, but he still spoke the same way. Direct, kind, unflinching. New signs appeared throughout the mall. Simple black text on white. Respect all. Not respect our guests. Not respect paying customers. Just respect all. They hung above escalators, near entrances, in break rooms. A zero-tolerance policy for discrimination was posted in the employee handbook and on the public website. One complaint, verified. Meant immediate investigation. Two meant termination. The message was clear. Appearance, skin color, accent, clothing. None of it determined worth here anymore. Elijah didn't disappear after that first confrontation. He returned quietly, once or twice a week, always in the same overalls and cap. No fanfare. He walked the corridors, observed, listened. Sometimes he stopped to speak with staff. Jamal most often, but others too. One afternoon, he gathered the entire team in the central atrium after hours. The mall lights dimmed. Stores shuttered, only the fountain's soft trickle breaking the silence. He stood on the low platform usually reserved for holiday performances, cane resting lightly against his leg. I didn't build this place for marble or money, he began. I built it because I believed a black man from nothing could create something lasting. But I stayed hidden to learn one truth. Power doesn't change hearts. It reveals them. You saw me as less because of my skin, my clothes. That's quiet racism. The kind that smiles while it excludes. The kind that says you don't fit without ever saying the word. I've lived it my whole life. So have many of you. He looked at the faces before him. Black, white, Latino, young, old. But true wealth isn't in bank accounts or square footage. It's in character. It's in how you treat the person who looks like they have nothing. Because that person might be carrying more than you'll ever know. Treat everyone as equal. Not because the law says so. Not because I own the building. But because every soul standing in front of you carries the same dignity. Race, appearance, wallet size. None of it changes that. He paused, letting the words settle. Change isn't easy. It's uncomfortable. But discomfort is the price of decency. From today forward, this mall will be known not just for luxury, but for humanity. Fail that standard, and you fail here. He stepped down. No applause. Just quiet nods, a few wiped eyes. Jamal walked up, shook his hand. We won't let you down. Sir. Elijah smiled faintly. I know you won't, son. Months later, the mall felt different. Shoppers noticed the warmer greetings, the lack of side-eye. Complaints dropped. Reviews mentioned kind staff more than designer stores. Elijah still visited in overalls, still sat on benches sometimes, still watched. And every time someone offered him water or a polite "good afternoon, sir," he knew the wheel had turned. Racism doesn't vanish overnight, but it weakens when good people refuse to let it stand. So fight the quiet kind, the glances, the assumptions, the small exclusions. Stay kind. See the human first. Because you never know who might be walking through your doors carrying an empire in their heart.